All right, babies. Here's one that I wrote at work. Observing people without intention. Walking to work. By the time I reached work, I wrote this. I think that was like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. Remember, where I'm working right now is an actual heavy, it's like 4 or 5 buildings with a whole lot of companies. And these companies are all different kinds of companies, man. Just a whole lot of people. And for the longest time, I would judge them. Don't we all do the same thing? And it's funny because I exist among them, I judge them, but when walking on the side of the road, I don't judge the people on the side of the road. I observe them very intently. On the bicycle, I look at people. When I'm walking, I look at people. They're fascinating. I think humankind is just like interesting. Uh, so everything from like the guy selling on the side of the road, the people laughing at a certain kind of joke. There's always kind of this like flair. I don't know. Again, like it's like the flair of life, I guess, and how people decide. Everyone interacts with life their own way, and it's funny to just see how the decisions people made. But when it comes to where I work, I think the reason I judge them is because I look at myself and like I fear this judgment, honestly. So I realized that, well, I've been working on that. And again, like saying I don't want to judge is not really something that happens overnight. You kind of have to like you every single time you make a decision, you have to like deconstruct the pattern that has been active before, maybe even change the whole thing. And that's where people kind of like feel laggy and like there's something hard in the process of, in the structure of like evolution or in our like kind of movement. But but it's funny because I was looking at people and there's this guy that still looks the same after 2 years, and he basically shaves his head all the way down, and he has like a top knot at the top, and it kind of looks very, I don't know, just doesn't look like it fits Lebanon, right? The style looks very much borrowed from the States and from kind of like Oregon, like hipster vibe kind of thingy. But I remember last year, man, I always would look at him and always be like, how could somebody do that? But hey, look at me, man. Really look like I came from a mountain. I came down from a mountain looking at society, going like, where is this place? I'm sorry. So yeah, it's always the same case, right? Like because once we reflect on ourselves, we realize what are we fucking doing when it comes to other people. How the fuck are we doing things this way? Judgment. Well, it's innate. Society builds it in us. I actually wrote like some notes somewhere here. Born out of this world, effort, are we entertained? Sacrifice, the nature of sacrifice, interview. Not judging someone doesn't mean being empathetic towards them. Learning to discern between empathy and sympathy. And a couple of others about entropy and what does eating ourselves truly means. Ooh, that gave me chills. Like truly, because we are vibing within. Where it's a good notes, man. The past couple of days have been like on fire. I did like 20 to 30 new videos, so it's intense. But so uh, to be able to look at people, engage without me having thoughts about them. And I think it happened like in a glimpse, right? Like I kind of noticed that it's not that I wasn't doing it. Like I was about to say something and then I realized because like normally when you stop judging or where you're trying to stop judging, the first thing you always do is ask yourself why you're actually judging. And that kind of puts you in an embarrassing position. And effectively anything you do, right? In anything you do effectively, you kind of ask yourself, why am I doing this? And if an answer doesn't pop up directly, then it's a pattern that was built a long time ago, or it was just something that's more driven by not you, not driven by you. And asking this, the power to actually ask this voice internally is super strong when you're able to differentiate between like your head and yourself. But I normally ask them verbally. I go like, why are you doing this? And even when I'm actually having when I'm just like walking randomly. I just like when I ask myself that question, I kind of like hold myself accountable instantly, and you tend to see how your whole mood instantly shifts. And so I remember that day, if I'm not mistaken, I was walking to work because it was a beautiful sunny day, and I did not want to go on the bike because I wanted to enjoy the sun more than I was a bit more than normal. And so actively, as I was walking, I was just like taking my time looking at everything, looking at the trash on the side of the road, the upset fucking person drinking coffee in the morning, all these kinds of like small things, trivial things that happen in society. And as I arrived at work, I realized that there's absolutely like there's a certain sense of serenity, maybe because like my I don't know, I looked at a lot of things, so by the time I got to work, I was completely like I don't want to look at anything. But to be able to observe them without intention kind of showed, okay, so anyway, I want you guys to imagine a painting and then looking at the painting versus looking at the colors that were used to paint it. Forget the brushes. It felt like there was a certain truth that people were able to show and reveal. I wasn't engaging with anyone. I was just sitting there reading my book under the sun, and I was kind of like looking around. And in a way, just looking and seeing them as people, a lot of the things that we normally judge, I think, are things that we instantly pick up on because we relate to them. We're unconsciously engaging with these kinds of behaviors. So they're the first things that we see in society, and that's it's my favorite thing. Is one of my favorite thing. Everything is my favorite thing. But there's a saying that says, like, if a businessman goes into the mall, what does he look at? He looks at basically shops, businesses, and all that stuff. But if a pregnant lady goes into the mall, she's probably going to be checking out looking at, seeing kids and just like baby toys and all kinds of stuff. And if a mom enters a store with her kids, what does she see? She sees toys and she sees jump arounds and she sees places where the kids could get hurt, right? Like everyone's reality is constructed based on mainly their own presentation of themselves. And so everything around you in the world would kind of like show up in accordance to your reality. And it felt like when I was looking at these people without judgment, just simply kind of like enjoying the fact that there were people around doing stuff. That's the truth. Because I was looking at them and I was like, no, it kind of feels good to have people around me that are doing their own thing and I'm minding my own business. And I think that kind of came from my lack of wanting to interfere with their existence around me. And I think that's probably one of those like insecurities or just like insecurities towards society. It's not you, man. It really isn't you. It has nothing to do with you. It's built in. It's fucking shit, man. It's built in. It's beautiful man-made construct. Society is built in. And so this sense of detachment allowed me to kind of look at them as if a canvas, and as an empty canvas with the paint kind of like before the painting is done, right? Like, you know, a canvas requires this much red paint, this much blue paint, this much green paint, this much white paint or something. Those are the things that we interact with normally. These parts of the people that kind of like drive us to be like, oh my God, I like this person. Why? Because like we think alike, and these are the things that are highlighted based on what we look at. But when I saw that I was just like looking at them in a very much observation standpoint, I very much felt that they were the compilation of all these things that I normally bundled up into the bigger judgment. I kind of was able to see the interactivity. It's like looking at a car with a transparent like hood or something, where you can actually see the mechanisms that are happening under the hood. And it was fun because nothing really mattered. I was able to kind of like mainly see my truth no longer reflecting my judgments or my pre-designed judgments, but in fact kind of like looking at them in a very much prideful way of how I am able to kind of like see my truth through them, because we always are doing this. And to see that I'm able to kind of like not make a decision based on the things that I clearly can see, and instead allow them to exist, and maybe just see how they could change in the future or something, or just like allow them to be, and eventually notice how they all interact together. There is an art in just existing. We truly are beings beyond, because everything we do, every move, every breath, every look, every discussion, everything is an expression of ourselves. And it's super fun once you're able to kind of like see how people are truly trying to express themselves, or just maybe succeeding. I don't know, but I'll tell you this. It's a fucking video time.